income does not determine whether or not people serve. You can go into small rural towns and people are really scraping by, and yet they are helping each other in all sorts of ways. But what I agree is that the choices that we provide young people right now are too constrained. When I graduated from Columbia, I had a choice. I could pursue a lucrative career on Wall Street or go immediately to law school, or I could follow through on the inspiration that I had drawn from the civil rights movement and from the Kennedy era and try to work in the community. And I chose the latter, but it was tough. I made $12,000 a year plus car expenses in Chicago, working with churches to set up job training programs for the unemployed and after-school programs for youth, trying to make the community better. It was the best education I ever had, but ironically, it was harder for me to find that job than it was for me to find a job on Wall Street. And I think there are a lot of young people out there who are interested in making that same choice, and we should be encouraging them. The government's going to have a role. Look, young people can't afford college right now, and one of my central platforms in this campaign is we're going to provide a $4,000 tuition credit every student every year, but in exchange for giving something back. And so young people of modest means who are interested in going to college, this gives them an opportunity to serve and at the same time pay for their college education. I think there are a lot of creative ways where we can provide more opportunities than exist right now.
Now, the role of government is something we talked a little bit about with Senator McCain. Republicans have traditionally said, and I'm thinking, for example, of Newt Gingrich, who I know is not one of your advisors, but said that the problem with big government is that it gets in the way of private initiative. And as government grew over generations, that in fact it repressed public service and it repressed national service because there was no room for it anymore. So some Republicans worry, well, he's going to make such a big government that won't even leave room for private initiative.
Look, I think those are old arguments. Let's look to the future. The fact is that we have to have government. When a hurricane strikes, as it did with Katrina, we have to have a FEMA that works, which, by the way, means that we should be encouraging young people, the best and the brightest, to get involved as civil servants, to pursue careers of public service. So we've got people who are trained in federal emergency management who are able to take on the job. Now, that does not crowd out the Red Cross. That doesn't crowd out the thousands of church groups that went down there. What it means is that each area has a role to play. The Peace Corps does not crowd out opportunities for service overseas. You've got churches and synagogues and mosques all across the country that are deeply involved in efforts to deal with HIV/AIDS and malaria and all sorts of public health issues. And yet, this is an area where George Bush, I think, appropriately said, we're going to make a commitment as the wealthiest nation on earth to deal with the devastation of AIDS, and his PEPFAR program has been highly successful, working with non-for-profits, working with governments, working both public and private in order to solve a problem. So there are more than enough problems out there to deal with. And what is true is we don't need to set up bureaucracy. See, I would distinguish between a government assist in providing people avenues for service and a government bureaucracy in which the notion is that the only way you can serve is through some defined government program.
And I do want to pick up on that just briefly, because as we said earlier, tonight is not a night to focus on contrast between you and Senator McCain, but help us understand how you see the role of government in all this differently from the way he does.
Well, listening to his presentation, it sounds like he's interested in the AmeriCorps program and Peace Corps. I think it is terrific that we can garner some bipartisan support. That was not always the case. I believe firmly that government should expand avenues of opportunity. I want to create a energy corps, a clean energy corps that can mobilize individual citizens to help create greater energy efficiency in our country. I want to mobilize seniors to get involved with their schools or their local hospital or health clinic. So there are going to be a whole range of ways that we can do it. Some of that's going to cost money. but mostly it requires government providing these opportunities and these avenues, and a president who is willing to inspire people to get involved and get outside of themselves. That's something we're doing in this campaign, and that's something I think I can do as president.